Hello everyone, this is Ms. Bushra with you, a biology teacher from Zhyar English High School and Zhyar English Institute. I'm back again with another video continuing where we left for our short series about preparation for the upcoming Wizari exam. We stopped at question 35 and 6 and I promised that I'm going to put it on my TikTok so you can check it out. As for the next question is still about chapter 4, question 37. So without further ado, let's start. It says, why is the thalamus often referred to as the relay center of the brain in sensory processing? We know that the sensory processing, the 5 senses that we have, they're all processed in different ways. One of the main parts that is relaying everything or conducting the information to its destined area is the thalamus. Now, we have 2 words that are closely related. Let's see. The first one is the relay center, and the other one is control center. Imagine a relay center like a pathway. They cross each other there, and this area is going to make sure that every single path or nerve going to its destined area in the cortex and the lobes. So a relay center is just doing that, nothing else. A thalamus is the upper relay center, spinal cord being the lower relay center. These 2 are just organizing the pathway, while control centers are the ones that are making decisions for us, like hypothalamus. They make decision. So a relay center is not like a control center, it is in the way that they function. It's very important to have these to organize all these complicated connections, wiring, and neuron axons there. So let's check which one is going to describe relay center or like the function of relay center for thalamus. It says in control sensory areas in the cortex. That's not correct, okay? We said that a relay center cannot control, it's just a pathway. If it controls, it means it becomes a control center. It doesn't have any decision. They don't make decision. For B, it directs signals from the body to the cortex. See, it says it directs. Relaying and directing is the same thing. It's just like how a policeman is going to tell somebody to go this way and the other one that way. This is the same thing that the thalamus do. So let's hold on to this answer B. I'm gonna just mark it. It processes sensory data without other brain input. That's not it, okay? The word processing, it means it is something that makes decision. Again, it's a control center. So it's not the same description. It depends on the cortex to sort incoming signals. No, everything should be sorted before it reaches the cortex. So we cannot choose these answers. We made sure that B was the correct answer. So a relay center, like the thalamus, are just directing the signals to their designated areas in the cortex. That was a nice question. Let's go to question 38. This looks simple, especially for students when they see these like short words, they think it's simple. Well, like we said, it's cinnamon roll, but could kill you. Let's see. Which sensory input bypasses both the brainstem and thalamus? When you say bypass, it means it's not gonna go through them, okay? It's gonna have a jump over these 2 and directly connects to the other part. One of these sensories is like that. For vision, I'm not going to talk about every sensory receptors that are there and how the information is put. Let's start with the nerves, like for example, optic nerve. So in vision, we start with optic nerve. The optic nerve goes through brain stem, all right, and then thalamus. Then it goes to the occipital lobe or the cortex for vision, okay, which is occipital lobe, all right? So it's not optic nerve. What about hearing? We have auditory nerve, again going through brainstem, thalamus, and then cortex. Which area? Which area? The temporal, okay? The ears are near temporal, so they go there, which is the auditory cortex. Having another name, auditory cortex, for processing hearing. So it's not these two. How about smelling? Smelling is the one that doesn't go through brainstem nor thalamus. See, it starts with olfactory epithelium, and then olfactory nerve, then, it's olfactory bulb, and then olfactory nerve, which goes to amygdala. Amygdala, it's part of the limbic system. It's not even in the cortex. Amygdala, and then the other part is just going to the frontal lobe, another part of the limbic system. So about touch, it goes through sensory neuron, then spinal cord. This is a different thing. Since it's coming from the outside, it's not near this area, so it's going through the spinal cord as a relay center to send it again to the brainstem. And it then goes through thalamus again to the cortex, the parietal lobe especially, okay? So we can see that all these three went through brainstem and thalamus, while the smelling had its own pathway, starting from olfactory epithelium, then bulb, then the nerve, and then it goes to amygdala and the smelling cortex part in the frontal lobe. This is why our answer is C. Easy. You just need to recall it from memory, but don't just bypass something just because it looks simple. Question 39 says, which best explains how tolerance, now we're at 4.4, we're talking about drugs, increases the risk of lethal drug dose. Okay, so we need a description of tolerance. Before anything, tolerance is when the body resists the amount of drug that you take it. Now, the effective dose was here. You have to increase it after a while to reach the same desired feeling. Why? Because the body get tolerated to it, the body get adapted to it. It doesn't get the effect anymore. So we build tolerance against these type of drugs. Over time, they need to increase the effective dose so much that they might reach the lethal dose. Lethal dose is the dose that's gonna kill. For example, for blood alcohol concentration, BAC, it's 0.5. If they reach this, they're gonna die. But since the addiction causes them and the tolerance buildings causes them to take more and more to get the same feeling, they eventually, if they don't stop it, they will reach the lethal drug dose. So let's see if we have any matching to the description of tolerance. It says addicts become resistant to the drug side effect. Okay, they become resistant, but not for the side effects, okay? Not for the side effect. The last part is not correct. Higher doses are needed to reach the same effect. That's exactly what's tolerance about it. We need higher and higher and higher. The body get used to it. They cannot get the same feeling. The body eliminates the drug faster. No, that has nothing to it. Neurons stop responding. Neurons don't stop responding. Probably they slow down over time, but they don't stop responding. So our answer is higher doses needed to reach the same desired feeling. That's why that's the effect of tolerance. That's why it reached the lethal drug dose. Okay, we're good until now. Question 40. For question 40, it says, which of the following does not cause addiction? Let's remind ourselves what is addiction, okay? It's inability of the person to let go of that drug. Simply, if I put it in line. But what type of drug causes addiction and what type doesn't? The psychoactive drugs that affect the nervous system are almost the only type that are causing addiction. The others don't. So it has to be something that affects the nervous system. As you remember, alcohol goes to the nervous system and it's a depressant. It makes the nervous system slow down. So alcohol, okay, it actually causes the addiction. We are looking for something that doesn't. Tar is part of smoking. When somebody smokes cigarette, there's like a black part in it, okay, black material. We call it tar. Tar usually remains in the mouth and it goes to the lungs and precipitate there, causing a lot of problem in cancers usually. So it's not exactly affecting the brain. We're going to hold on to this one. It seems to be the right answer, but let's check the other two. Cocaine goes to the brain and it's going to block the enzymes that are going to reuptake the dopamine. So it is affecting the synapses. Synapses is part of the nervous system. That means cocaine is out too. It causes addiction. Nicotine is causing addiction by mimicking acetylcholine. Okay? So these are all affecting the body nervous system. While tar doesn't do it, it just precipitates in these areas. So our answer is B. Let's see. We're done with chapter 4. Now we're at chapter 5. Chapter 5 is about hormones. Let's see what's the first question. First question says, when the pancreas, okay, remember when we studied about the integration of organ system and we said pancreas is integration because it is part of endocrine and part of the digestive. That part of being endocrine is what makes it a hormonal gland, okay? So it releases glucagon, all right? We know about that. It's a hormone, okay? Secreted, okay, secreted. Let's see what is this about. And when it releases digestive enzyme, this part is the other part. It's not from the endocrine. It's for the digestive system. It is secreted where? Here it says between the cells. Since the glucagon is endocrine and the enzymes in the digestive are exocrine, they are affecting the body in different ways. Let's see how. Let's see, this is the cells that are making glucagon. When the glucagon is released, it has to go to a bloodstream. That's why we call it endocrine, because it goes into the bloodstream. While for exocrine, the cells actually are here most of the time. They have a duct. What do we have? Duct. Duct is like these small tubes where it takes it to a surface. It doesn't take it to the blood. It takes it to a surface. Like, for example, sweat gland. It takes it onto our skin or in the stomach. Like we said it here, digestive enzyme. It takes it to the inside of the stomach where there is like a lining of epithelial cells. See, these digestive enzymes, when they're released, they go through the duct to a surface here. They get released here. No blood involvement. So, according to what we said, since glucagon is endocrine, we need to find a matching that's talking about blood. And this is exocrine. So which one talks about blood? It says between the cells. No, glucagon goes inside the blood. Bye. Through a duct into the blood. This is a trick. See, it mentions the blood. That doesn't mean it uses a duct to reach it. It doesn't. Okay? This is like a decoy. So we're going to take it out. Like, you might say, Miss, why you didn't check these two? I've said it in my previous videos. If one of them is wrong, you don't need to check the rest of them. Okay? That's how it works. But with a condition you're certain of their answer. Okay? As for C and D, it says into the blood. Okay, let's see, read it again. When the pancreas releases glucagon, it is secreted into the blood. That's correct. And when it releases digestive enzyme, it is secreted between the cells or through a duct to a surface. See, a duct to a surface. That's how we got our answer. D. We're done with this question. It was a very nice question, actually. It was indirectly telling us that they are looking for endocrine and exocrine, but they gave us examples instead of saying it directly. That's a good question. This one is a bit tricky. Here it says, which of the following hormone does not need CAMP? Okay, cyclic AMP. Now, the thing about cyclic AMP being a second messenger, you have to realize that you need to grasp the whole concept about how steroid and amino acid based hormone works. I'm going to give you a quick recap so that even if you didn't understand it, with this question, we're going to cover it up. If this is a cell, okay, cell number 1, and this is cell number 2. If a hormone comes to this cell, this is the target cell for this hormone, okay, and it is amino acid based. You know that the cell membrane of a cell made of cholesterol and lipids, that's how we call lipid bilayer. And amino acid is water soluble. It's not fat soluble. So when it comes here, it cannot enter. What does it do? It needs to take an action so that something changes. It's going to attach to a receptor here, okay? That receptor is going to activate cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP works like a messenger for the amino acid outside. It's just like somebody could not come inside this room and they say, please send my words to the teacher, tell her this and that. Cyclic AMP is taking this role of conducting the information from this side to the other side. So the cyclic AMP is going to continue the process. As for the steroid-based, it's totally different. Steroid-based hormone, okay, the ones that are made of steroid, all right, when they come here, since steroid is a lipid and this is made of lipid, both of them fat soluble, it directly goes inside and take the action itself. It could bind to another enzyme or even the gene and starts making change in the cell. So these steroids don't need cyclic AMP. That means that we need to look for a steroid hormone. We should memorize all of them to know which one is steroid. According to my information here, thyroxine, thymosin, insulin, and adrenaline, none of them are steroid. So what is the twist here? Okay, cortisol and the sex hormones are all steroid hormones, but they're not mentioned here. If they're amino acid, how come that they don't have a CAMP? That's where the twist comes. If you remember in the book, the title says steroid hormones and thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones, the ones that are made from the thyroid, they are amino acid based, but they are fat soluble and they can pass through the membrane just like a steroid hormone, not needing cyclic AMP. This leads us to thyroxine as our answer. The others are amino acid and they need the CAMP. Okay, it's just like that. Even I might say, what if it's amino acid and fat soluble? You still either you're gonna choose thyroxine or triiodothyronine. Both of them are, examples of thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone is the general name, and these are specific names. This was it about the types of the hormone according to their nature. This was a good question. Let's move on to question 43. Calcitonin. Calcitonin is a hormone secreted by the thyroid gland. Which of the following best describe its function? We know that calcitonin has something. It takes calcium, the name is close. It takes calcium from the blood and give it to the bones. Done? Like we said, from blood, let's choose our color. From blood to bone. Seems easy to answer, but let's check the answer. It says it's lowering the level of calcium in the blood. It's not the same sentence we learn, but it's actually right. If you take something, okay, here to here, isn't it going to lower in number? It does. So this one is right. A is right. It says it enhances ossification process. What does this have to do with this process? Let's hold on to this one. I think we're going to need to process the rest in order for us to choose it. It says it stimulates the movement of calcium from blood stream to the bones. That's what we said, from blood to the bone. That was the simplest way of saying it. This one is from the other way. It's just like if I'm talking from this perspective or the other one, both of them are right. D, it increases the overall calcium content stored in the bones. That's correct. We took calcium from blood to bone. So the amount of calcium in the bone increases while the amount of... see, I did a mistake. Let's do this. Blue, it increases here and decreases here. What is the effect of this? Calcitonin. Tamam? That's correct. Let's go back to the ossification. If you remember, making bone is called ossification process. So what does that have to do with it? Remember, if calcitonin doesn't take the minerals or the calcium to the bone, how can we create bone? We cannot. So in order for us to create bone, we need calcium crystallization between the lamella, which is done by the osteocyte, to make it harder and change the cartilages to the bone. It is an indirect answer. This one is correct too. You're going to say, Miss, did you make a mistake? No. I just wanted you to know that each one of these sentences give you the exact same information. So if I had like instead of D, A, B, C, D, E, it says all of them, we're going to choose this, okay? Remember, these are just changing the sentence and rephrasing it. This one is a bit more indirectly happening. But the more calcium we have in the bone, especially if it's a growing bone, it's not completely grown, the more ossification process we have. Got it? That was a good question. We're doing great. And we're halfway through chapter 5. Let's see. This question 44 says, which of the following is correct regarding negative mechanism and positive mechanisms? Check this out. Negative mechanisms and positive mechanisms are used to regulate the internal body structure and keep homeostasis. What's that supposed to mean? For instance, when I'm turning AC and I'm feeling hot, what made me turn it on? It because it was hot, okay? But then after it gets cooled down, at a certain point it might lower the temperature below what I wanted and it becomes too cold. This is a signal for me to stop it again. It's the same thing for the negative mechanism, okay? The first initial one, okay, is going to create a cascade, and the final step, it's going to create another loop to stop the initial process. As for the positive mechanism, it's totally opposite. It's just like a snowball effect. The more it rolls, the more it gets bigger. So the last step is going to control the first step by increasing the production. It says, give me more and more and more. So the product is becoming more and more. In both of them, last step in the series events called the first one. Exactly. First step is here, the initial one. okay? The initial one, it gives it to the second one, let's say, and this is the last one, third one. This is the decision maker. It's going to tell this one either to stop the production or tells it to increase it so that there will be more and more and more until a certain event is going to stop it. This is a right answer, but let's check the other one. Let's see why they're wrong. In both of them, the first step in the serious event controls the last. No, this is opposite of what we said. The last one controls the first one. Both mechanisms act to keep hormones concentration relatively constant. See, most of my students made mistake in this question because they chose A and C together and this was a decoy. Why? These two mechanisms are not the same. We mentioned negative and positive. In negative, yes, we try to make it constant by not letting more to be produced. We have a certain point we need to reach it. But for positive, it's opposite. It asks for more and more and it increases it instead of like regulating it at a certain point. That's why we cannot choose this. And since this is out, D is out too, we end up with A like we predicted. This is the answer for question 44. If you have any concerns about negative and positive mechanism like most students do, please comment down below for any inquiries that you need and we're going to answer it inshallah. For question 45, if you look at it, it says, the neuropeptide and prostaglandins are considered among hormones. Okay? They are considered among hormones because of what? Hormones need to have a gland and need to regulate other cells, okay? And they need to have target cells. These two have target cells, okay? And they are regulating the cells, but they are not made by glands, especially not endocrine glands. So here, this one is made by other neurons, okay? While prostaglandin made by body cells. Almost all body cells could create prostaglandins. That is the difference, okay? That's why we separated even in the book from the other endocrine cells. Why? Because their origin of making is different, all right? Let's see, according to what I gave you as an information, how we're gonna check our answer. It says they're released by endocrine glands. No, that's incorrect. They regulate another endocrine. That's worse. That's not even correct. They made by endocrine. Again, they are not made by endocrine. They are made by neuron. And this one by all body cells. They're released by cell. Okay, that's the first part here. No, it's correct. Let's see the second part. It regulates other endocrines. No, it doesn't regulate other endocrines. It regulates the neighboring cells. This one is the correct one. It regulates the neighboring cells of the body. That's why we consider them as hormones. This was the last question from chapter 5. We're at the end of this session. Thank you for attending, and I hope you're going to continue the other videos. Have a nice day.